So it seems the Crows have made it to 1 year. The plan from here is to do a whole bunch of Crow videos as a result of this and to try and start doing up more podcasts again. And so in light of this, I'm probably going to make these Cremation Furnace podcasts a regular thing. In general, I kind of want to make content as a scheduled endeavor, and the biggest thing that's been keeping me from doing this for a while now is just how frantic my sleep schedule is. Sometimes I'll be sleeping 3 times in a day, sometimes I'll be sleeping once or twice, or I'll get 6 hours or 5 hours and then stay awake for like 2 days, constantly changing. And so what I want to try and do in order to just make myself more productive is to sleep at one time every day. One time, and then wake up at one time. I have an alarm clock at both houses, I can do that. And if I always stick to that schedule, I can more easily, more rigidly schedule out my hours and then reward myself for having the schedule as that is. Go like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m., I eat breakfast, and I might eat breakfast while watching something, and so I can get 2 things done at once. And then I go out on my walk each day for like an hour or something. I might want to invest in having a watch with me, so I can keep time on how long everything takes. That way I'll be able to revise my schedule until I have it at the best level I can possibly have it at. I also might want to have extra hours for like time that I can lean in on, or if something takes longer than expected, you know, not have everything down to the wire. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get it at the right level, but essentially the point of it is wake up at the same time every day so I cannot go all over the place and lose track of my time, because when I'm constantly being up at night or constantly changing my schedule, when I don't have school as an institution that reminds me every day what the day is, every day just starts to kind of blend together, and there's this sort of feeling of unhappiness as a result of that. I'm not exactly sure what propagates that. It just kind of shows up, because every day just feels like this gross mesh of one another. And I don't want that. That's not good for productivity. When things are like that, I usually get a couple things done in like frantic bursts, but I never get a whole bunch of things done on time, on schedule, or the things that I really want to get done. So I need to change this. And I think with this current idea that I've got flowing around, as it starts today, it is starting today, I think I'm gonna make good on that. You know, another thing that I've kind of fiddled around with or wanted to do for a while now, and I think this will help me keep track of time or keep on schedule, is to make a video just going through all the videos I made in that week and then talking about them, talking about where I improved, talking about what I could improve on, or just talking about how people reacted to the concepts I presented in them, or how I came up with those concepts. You know, I think going like super in-depth into the behind-the-scenes stuff like that could be interesting for somebody. I personally love content that's like that, and it sort of gives me incentive to keep doing more videos, because it's a video about the videos, you know, it's a reward there. I personally just feel rewarded by making a thing and then having that thing go into me making other things. It's the most rewarding thing. You just have constant videos coming out. It's like a 1-2 punch of just constant pleasure and catharsis of that upload button. So there's that, and also it just helps me keep track of what I'm doing. Like, I'll talk about certain months in YouTube that I did, like January, for example. One of the reasons I was so keen on my pride for that month, and all of the videos that I released at that time, in terms of, oh wow, this is like way more stuff than I've released ever before, or whatever, is because I came into the month with the distinct idea of releasing a whole bunch more written things and a whole bunch more things on the main channel in general to max revive it. And I did a decent job of that until I fell off in February, but Like, me coming into the beginning of the month with that plan, and then being able to look at the videos from then on, and me, like, talking about it in podcasts and stuff, keeps track of what that arc meant. It keeps track of what that arc in my channel is. That way, if I'm going to talk about my growth, I can just distinctly point out, oh yeah, it was at this point and at this time, and I can tell you. But if I don't have that, if I, like, just made plans to do a cool thing and then never said anything about it anywhere, then if I wanted to mention it later, then I'm gonna end up confused. You know, I've tried comprising my channel into arcs. I've tried talking about the different arcs of my channel and, like, where I've changed there and stuff, but a lot of it I've either forgotten or I can't place the time to the event. So what I have to do is just place the time to the event as it's happening by talking about it with a sense of immediacy, and then because of that, I can go back and just point, oh yeah, this is exactly what this thing did in my growth, because it's right there. I said all of it, you know? There's no confusion of trying to see what goes where and just frantically trying to remember what happened, you know, because it's all right there. So it's a tool to remember things, and it's a tool to keep on schedule with those things, because I'm being constantly reminded of my schedule by putting so much emphasis on it in a video, just pointing it out, you know? Yeah, and plus, it's generally good practice as someone who wants to archive all of my thoughts and wants to go into depth about my work and about my life as much as possible, as to be an archive of a person, of a content creator, and to get out all of the persona stuff, all of the personal stuff, before I eventually leave this hellhole. So I think that's generally a pretty good idea, going into this new era of Outlaw. Got a couple ideas for, like, main channel stuff I want to do before February ends, because I have done jack shit all February. I've made plans for a movie, yeah, but I haven't released anything on the main channel, and I want to have an audience for when that movie hits that isn't just my friends, so I need to be capturing that audience. And I think I'll do this by making a Steven Universe video, because I need to catch up on the show anyway. And if I make a Steven Universe video, it'll call attention to me. I gotta try and make it on something relevant, or, like, at least the latest episode or something, but there are episodes that I have to catch up on. And I still never did my Wanted review. Like, I talked in a couple videos about how I was gonna do a Wanted review months and months ago when those episodes came out. Never did it. I could find things to say about those episodes, so, you know. There's definitely things to do with Steven Universe, and I want to try and get up to that, because most of my audience is into cartoons. I just got a comment today that said, like, who the fuck are you, on my Let's Play with Magos Let's Play, in quotes, of Masochist, because it's like a weird esoteric podcast of me and this Warhammer 40k / deep lore YouTuber, where, like, we reference memes that we've said in other podcasts, and, like, our dynamic and general, like, speaking style is referencing to other things that we've done, and, like, the meta of the crows and stuff. You have to be in very deep to understand the stuff that we're saying, even though in that one I do put in more effort to explain exactly what we're saying. Still, you sort of have to have an initial connection to really care. Although I think that podcast was certainly one of the best we've done, if not the best. It's, you know, I think for, like, the average everyday viewer who isn't into, like, talky podcasts, they kind of have to have an initial investment. And with the content that I do, that I have done, that's attracted those cartoon subs. By the way, this commenter, his name was, like, Sonic Team Killed My Life or whatever. So he, and his icon was also really autistic, so you could tell it was one of those guys when I saw the comment. He didn't know who either of us were. because those people come for cartoon videos, they don't come for the stuff that I'm doing, so I need to try and, like, both get more of them in and make the ones I have happy, but also try and put the weird stuff in with the Poppy stuff to get them to, you know, be satisfied and get into my weirder stuff through just having the weird stuff in the Poppy stuff. So, you know, it's a bit of a balancing act, but I think I can do it. I just need to, like, go right ahead with this schedule thing today. I don't know exactly what time I'm going to be going to sleep tonight. I might pick, like, going to sleep at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, but I kind of want to wake up at 6, so I might need to adjust it differently. I'm not sure. Again, it's going to take a couple days. It's a couple-day process, so I'm not going to be able to get it done right away, but I need to tell my dad so he can remind me so I don't, like, slack off or lose track of time or something, which is always a huge enemy for me. So I need to get someone to remind me to place the sticky notes or place the piece of paper on my wardrobe, and then that way I can always see it. Just put the schedule in a place that I can always see so I never forget about it or I never lose track of time, and set up regional punishments for if I mess up on it, but be a little bit lenient, of course, because I'm still working out the time. I just need to figure out how long I take with everything and to have a level of self-awareness with each thing that I do, and that way I can get to a point where I can just work down to the wire. So, in the last podcast, I forget exactly which day of February it was. It might have been the 5th or the 4th or something. In any case, the one with the burning duck on the, as the image. I talked a lot about, like, my future on YouTube and my future with art, and how I basically want to be a Renaissance man, as Cynic called it, a guy who does all of the things, who makes video games, who makes books, who can draw and make music, all of this art stuff, learn tons of languages. You know, I want to do everything. Jack of all trades, master of none, if you will, is kind of how I've always been. Specifically getting to this is kind of interesting to me, because I've also talked a lot about wanting to be a teacher, but I think I finally worked out the kinks of my plan, because I want to go to Norway. I've said that I want to go to Norway and be a college student so I can get my PhD in history and my teaching license, and also good enough degree to teach English, because I don't want to just be stuck teaching history. I want to be able to teach English, because depending on what country I go to, I might need to teach English. And in, like, the end game goal is to become a teacher when I'm 30 in the country Bhutan. While I'm in Norway, being a college student, I kind of want to make my money to pay rent and to pay for foods and things like that off the internet, not doing YouTube, because in a place expensive as Oslo, one of the most expensive cities to live in the world, I ain't gonna make that kind of bank on YouTube doing the content that I do at the level that I do. Certainly not. Even in the next few years when I move out, I'm still not gonna be at that level. So, I want to become a porn artist. It's, if you do the most degenerate, gross, horrible things in terms of art, you will be able to make tons of money. For furries especially. Furries will pay out the ass for just the most horrible things. And if you go as far as possible, you can make tons and tons of money doing that. You don't even have to be that good of a draw dude. You can just draw sort of proficiently in a year. If I drew every day for like 4 or 5 hours, did a lot of gesture, figure drawing, learned the basics, in a year, I could be at a level where I could sell my art on Patreon and things like that, fine, you know. As long as I'm a fast enough learner, and I sort of find my audience and study enough what the niches are and whatnot, I'll do fine. I just have to lose all artistic integrity and lose all standards for the things that I will draw, and I can make tons of money doing that. There's also various other institutions too. There's like Fiverr, which is just a little bit of money here and there, but since I'm a YouTube dude, and I will hopefully by this point have a bigger audience, and also there's the audience from the people who, you know, want the porn and all that. I can use Fiverr, which is like $5 to record a little video, but it's a little bit of money, but I think it counts. There's various other things. There's like becoming a cam girl and stuff. I mean, people will give you insane amounts of money for that later into your transition, so, yeah, there's quite a lot of bank there. But it's all doing like very risky, or not necessarily risky, maybe in terms of your public characters, but it's all doing like very degenerate, kind of gross things. But it's what you have to do to not be part of the gross capitalist-ick job market. I don't want to do that. I just want to, I want to get a job when I turn 16, which I'm turning 16 pretty soon in April. I want to get a job just to get the bare minimum things. A brand new computer, maybe 2 brand new computers, so I can have one at my mom's house and one at my dad's house. That way I won't have to use her laptop. But I want to have, you know, computers and be able to work on those, and a drawing tablet, and, you know, a regular tablet too, so if I'm drawing something degenerate because I live in a living room, no one's gonna see that because it's on a tablet. And so, yeah, it's basically, I just want to get stuff that I can use to work on video, probably a new microphone, a new camera, things like that. Now, I want to work long enough to get new equipment, and then leave immediately. And then invest all of my time into making those skills better, into programming, into drawing, at this point mostly drawing, and into also learning Norwegian, because if I'm going to Norway, I'm going to need that. And so that's sort of where my headspace is at right now. Get better at, like, get the things that I need to get better at drawing, and then do that so I can have money to not die. Because I don't want to do much normal labor. I have too many things that I want to do with my life. I have too many ideas for things that I want to do. And I'm not gonna let all of my time get eaten away by a job that I hate. I'm just not gonna do that. If I'm drawing this gross, horrible stuff, yeah, I'm probably not gonna like it too much. It's probably might even depress me at certain points, but I have to spend far less time doing that than I would at a normal job, you know, and probably maybe even make more money at it. And so, that's sort of where I'm coming from with this, is that I don't want to feel like my time is being wasted when I could be making way more money in way less time. I have too many things that I want to do. I kind of realized this when I left school completely and started doing school at home again on the computer, is that usually just takes me an hour to do. Like, I finish all of my schoolwork in an hour, and then I have a GED book that I mean, I have it, but I'm not studying it currently because I'm gonna get my GED when I turn 17, because I have to get like an age notice or whatever, but that GED book is insanely easy. I can just spend 1 week studying, go in and take the test, and I'm sure I'll pass with flying colors because I knew most of the stuff on there as soon as I saw it or looked through the book. So I don't really have to worry about getting a diploma because the GED is insanely easy to get, which is the equivalent. And I have the book and stuff to study for it. And in terms of homeschool, it only takes me an hour a day to do. It's very quick. I get it done very quickly. And when I was in public school, it would normally take me, you know, like 8 hours a day or whatever the school standard is. Most of that time just being wasted. Most of that stuff I could have, you know, got the equivalent for in far less time just by myself. And so I left. And now I'm getting I'm able to get way more done in terms of my own goals because I don't have those forces preventing me from doing that and wasting my time. And so when I had that taste of freedom, when I realized that, I didn't want to give it up. And so I came up with this plan to be a college student and also be able to do all of this other stuff. I'm not going to be a college student and work a normal job at the same time because you never get any free time. You never get any time to work on your other aspirations or goals because you are either needing to not starve or going to class, and you get very little sleep as a result of that, especially in somewhere expensive as Norway. You know, can't even get the best food because it's so expensive to live there. So I am not having that. I'd much rather just work independently. And I think by the time I'm done studying for college or whatever, if I start when I'm 18 and I am in college for like 7 years, for example, and, you know, get out when I'm 25, I can spend the next like 5 years in Taiwan and just make a game there, and sort of continue down the beaten path of making art and of sort of doing this lifestyle of just doing whatever I want. And then by the time I'm 30, go ahead on to Bhutan and teach there. Of course, things are always subject to change. Plans are always subject to change, especially when you're thinking of like that many years down, of thinking like, oh yeah, when I'm 30 in 15 years from now, I'm gonna be doing this. It's usually not like true when you actually turn to be that, but I think like I have a pretty good grasp on the way I think about things and just my behaviors in general, to where at the very least I realize that I'm never going to be playing their game, because I never have been. You know, when I was a kid, I was homeschooled from, you know, as young as I was able to go to school, and I would like cheat a lot as a kid. I would just get my work done as fast as possible or not do it because I didn't want to have these things separating me from what I wanted to do. And so I would try and get around every possible way of doing their work so I could do what I wanted. And I continued to do that for a long, long time, and it was a big problem. It was a big flaw of my character. I mean, it kind of still is, because it makes you do risky things. But I have done that forever. I've never had a good tolerance for doing stuff that I didn't want to do, and so I can't see myself in a position where I'm not making a decision that's crazy like that, or not making a decision where my work is at the helm of myself, where I am my own boss, unless I were to be a teacher, because I love kids, and I love socializing with people, and I love having that purpose of helping people. And I know this about myself because I do it all the time, you know? And so as long as you're self-aware, as long as you sort of know these fundamental aspects of your character that have remained with you for a long time, that have always sort of been around, that have always sort of permeated everything that you do, I don't think it's that unreasonable to say that you can make a reasonable enough prediction of where you're going to be in the future. Sure, it might not be totally right. I mean, I might not go to those countries, or Norway is indefinite because I'm leaving very soon. So that one, obviously I know that's going to happen, but, I might not go to Taiwan. I might stay in Norway. I might end up coming up with another plan for, something, that I'm going to do. But I know for a fact that I will be a teacher, and that I will be, for a while, in a position where I do whatever I want, because I understand my flaws. I understand what I do just by looking at my own actions and looking at where my thoughts bring me, and just by looking at what I do. So, I think, like I said, I think I'm self-aware enough about how I think that I have a good enough image of where I'm gonna be, but I don't like planning out, okay, I'm gonna be doing this in the next 15 years or whatever, because, those things are always subject to change with how we change. And so, there are aspects of it where I could be wrong, but I think in general, I know, I think I know, where I'm headed. And, I mean, at the same time, too, it's just a dream. Like, it's a very, logical, built dream of, okay, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at, and so I'm gonna do these things that I like, or that I understand to work in a society. But at the same time, also, it's just a dream. It's a thing that I aspire to or want to do, and so I try to go for that. And I mean, there are a lot of people's dreams that have sort of been melted away, but there's a lot of them who haven't. There's a lot of people who stayed in their conviction and kept going forward to do the thing that they really wanted. And I know that I am enough of an individual that I can also do that. If they can do it, I can do it too. And so, yeah, woke individualism. Thank you, Mr. Cynical, for deterring me of my once collectivist, determinist ways. I will learn those languages. I will get to the thing, and it'll all be good. It'll all be the good words do feel one. Bhutan. Bhutan is a beautiful place. It's probably going to be. It's the great thing about Bhutan is that it's right by China and Nepal and India and all of these places that produce mass pollution. Well, maybe not Nepal in terms of pollution. There's a bit there now, but you know what I mean. India and China, these places that have huge amounts of pollution in the air, and it's in the negative in terms of pollution or whatever. There's barely any there whatsoever because they just don't have big factory conglomerates. The parliament there actually kept a highway from being built because it was going to be going into a red panda habitat. They only got television in 1999. A very rural place. A lot of people there only work for $1.25 American a day. They have a universal healthcare system, if I recall correctly, and their education system is generally pretty good because it's a Buddhist kingdom. They care a lot about their people, and they care a lot about making the people happy, and they want to try and keep Western influences and powers out, and influences from China, so they don't corrupt their culture of being happy with the simple things, and of, trying to maintain one with nature. And I think by the time I'm 30, I'm really going to want to settle down from this insane life of eating all the time and from running around and, having the city life and collecting all these video games and, staying so in tune with technology and become more in tune with nature. Because I love nature. I love going out and just sitting in the forest for hours and just thinking, and observing animals and having deep connections with just normal, random people. I'm really into that stuff, so I think Bhutan is a beautiful place, and I think it would be a place that suits me. And so that's sort of kind of the place that I want to die in. I kind of just want to stay there forever and die there. But until then, I want to visit lots of places. I want to visit Iran, I want to visit, you know, Japan and China and Bangladesh and Mongolia for a while. I want to live in Mongolia for a year probably. Vietnam, Russia. There's lots of places that I want to go to, but I want to die in Bhutan, because that seems very much like my kind of place. Very much like the slow, comfortable place that you can go fishing to, and just sort of everyone knows each other in the town. I grew up in a town like that, where everyone knew one another. It's, when I think about it, I'm actually getting chills right now just thinking about Bhutan. That's how much I want to go there. That's how much I just love that country in concept. I could talk about it all day. It's just a fantastic place. Taiwan is just sort of like, you know, like better Japan. Japan without being as overrated. I can get all the comforts of Japan. I can get, you know, all of the manga and all of the video games that I want. I can just have them imported, but Taiwan is like a cooler place to actually live in. Japan is not a great place to live in. From the expensive cost of living to the various xenophobic institutions, it's not, you know, the best. But Taiwan is much more chill. It's much cooler. The work environment there is really cool. If I decide that I want to stop doing the whole like weird internet thing and just start becoming a teacher in Taiwan, you know, I might stop earlier because I might get depressed with the whole lifestyle that I'm having, or the internet might stop me, like censorship or the government or something might become a bigger problem, or people might stop wanting that. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna stop wanting pornography, because, you know, they're all degenerates on the internet, and new degenerates are constantly being fostered, but, you know, something could happen, and I could just become a teacher in Taiwan until I can go to Bhutan, so you never know. You never know how it's going to end up, but I do think I have a very good, like, logical, rough idea of where my life is going to be. If not for these dreams and plans, then in a crack house somewhere, dead.